It's the most wonderful time of year. You know what that means? We get the roundup of all the best horror movies of the year and check out all the films that we've missed. I'm going to round up my personal picks for best of 2023. Leave yours down in the comments below. Let's roll it.
I'll do it.
Kicking it off with an obvious one, which is Talk to Me. What a fantastic film and premise. This was easily one of the best movies of the whole year. The film is essentially a parallel into the themes of loneliness, loss, and social drug use, as well as peer pressure. We follow a group of kids who go into a house party where the teens engage in a paranormal game involving an embalmed hand, granting them the ability to communicate with the dead. As you guessed it, things go way too far.
Now say, talk to me.
Directed by Australian YouTubers Danny and Michael Filippo, in their feature debut, the film defies conventional horror expectations from front to back. The story unfolds through the traumatic experiences of characters Cole and Mia, played by Ari McCarthy and Sophie Wilde respectively, navigating grief and loneliness in the face of supernatural encounters. While the film introduces familiar horror elements such as possessions and ghostly phenomena, it distinguishes itself with emotionally grounded performances, particularly Wilde's portrayal of Mia's descent into darkness.
They like you.
The Filippo brothers masterfully balance intense emotional weight with calculated scares, deviating from expectations of excessive gore. Talk to Me delves into the psychological horror of secret wounds and the consequences of desperate choices, offering a fresh and highly captivating take on the genre. I absolutely love this movie. If somehow you've missed this, definitely scope it if you're a horror fan.
Basically, I'm living that movie right now, which is how I know there's gonna be a murder tonight.
I have a bunch of slasher films, and it's probably one of my least favorite subgenres. For some reason, I loved them this year. The first one I have is Totally Killer. I admit, I completely thought that this would be a filler horror film that would just be fun to check out on a weekend with my wife, and what I got out of it was way more than that. I had a blast with this movie, man. Amazon and Blumhouse's Totally Killer takes a literal approach to the advice of time travel, joining the ranks of time-traveling slasher films like The Final Girls, love that movie, and the Happy Death Day series. Unlike those movies, it transports its heroine, Jamie, played by Kieran Shipka, not to a fictional world, but back to 1987. In the small town of Vernon, where the three girls were brutally murdered by the elusive Sweet 16 killer, the past is revisited by a tactless true crime podcast and survivors' memories. While Totally Killer leans more towards comedy than horror, Shipka's performance and the ensemble cast, including Olivia Holt, contribute to the film's overall highly enjoyable tone.
There's a murderer on the loose, and you drove us into the woods.
The horror elements are done exceptionally well here too, so much that you forget that the comedy is even really a thing. The horror elements are pretty visceral and intense sometimes, reminding you that violence does matter and these are people. I thought this was a very cool artistic decision for the film. The movie embraces 80s nostalgia but doesn't shy away from its influences at all, resulting in a lighthearted addition to the teen-focused slasher genre. While it may not reinvent the wheel at all really, Totally Killer offers a highly fun and fitting choice to your slasher collection.
You got a problem here, guy?
Scream 6, one of the best horror movie openings of the year by far. Samara Weaving's scene was absolutely excellent. I had so much fun with this Scream installment. What we got with the latest Scream movie was one of the best movies in the entire franchise, and you can tell that the writer/directors had a blast messing with clever meta-narratives amidst a backdrop of purposely repetitive horror tropes. Ghostface is angrier and more formidable than ever here, and the final act involving the shrine was a blast, leading up to the epic, almost Scooby-Doo mask reveal that we all love and expect in the Scream movies.
It followed me here.
Despite the formulaic nature of the series, exemplifying the very cliches that it satirizes, Scream 6 had all of us showing up to see what the next round of gory stabbings and satirical commentary would be. The core four finds themselves embroiled in a new wave of terror, unleashed by Ghostface in New York City. I know a lot of us are wondering what the hell the directors are gonna do now that half of the core four are not coming back to the franchise. Personally, with how Scream 6 ended, I think think there are plenty of reasons why the Carpenter sisters storyline is fine to conclude here. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments.
This isn't a vacation, it's a quarantine.
We're the only people around here.
Another slasher film. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Sick. This was a surprisingly well-written and slick slasher film, co-written by the original screenwriter, Kevin Williamson, and also Caitlin Crabb.
This is incredible. Sick.
Sick is a fun take on the horror genre because instead of the whole teenagers and young adults who hook up get killed vibe, it's kids who don't follow the CDC guidelines get the knife instead. John Hyams' Sick cleverly exploits the newly ended but still ongoing health crisis and the nonchalant attitude of college-age kids towards CDC restrictions, blending the horrors of the pandemic and a classic slasher premise. The film, backed by Blumhouse, captures the paranoia of the pandemic era perfectly, emphasizing both the threat of the killer and also the invisible threat of COVID-19. As the story progresses, best friends Parker and Miri venture into a vacation home, flouting the pandemic rules, and all hell breaks loose. While lacking the meta humor of Scream, Sick was highly entertaining with a hell of a final act. Definitely check this one out. It's easily one of the best modern slasher films made in a while. Last slasher film on this list, really fun one, Thanksgiving. Plymouth, Mass is not very far from me, so this movie was a blast, not only as a fan of horror films, but also seeing the portrayal and caricatures of people from the area that I'm from. Eli Roth deserves some high praise here for the film's setting, tapping into the chaotic world of Black Friday in Plymouth, Massachusetts. As a native New Englander, I've witnessed quite a bit of degrees of the Black Friday clusterfuck, and though the film exaggerates these scenes, it's still captured pretty well.
Tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
The depiction of the door-breaking chaos, mirroring real-life incidents, adds a very chilling layer to the narrative, exposing the horrors of what people do for mundane items at a great deal.
Thanksgiving is an institution here.
The film excels in capturing classic slasher elements, blending serious moments with absurd humor, intense gore, and requisite cheesy one-liners. The killer's use too of a 17th century axe and the creatively brutal killings contributes to the movie's excellent horror appeal.
The longer this goes, the more twisted it gets. Every weapon he's using is straight off a Thanksgiving table.
There's unexpected twists, particularly during the parade sequence, and it adds a ton of fun to the film's vibe. What sets this movie apart, though, is its utilization of social media as a tool for psychological torment, showcasing how the incident unfolds through the desperation for recognition. What a killer movie, man. Easily one of Eli Roth's best yet. Check it out if you haven't yet.
She has the perfect life. The perfect husband.
Suitable Flesh. If you're a fan of Reanimator and From Beyond, this is a movie that you will absolutely want to check out. Director Joe Lynch, channeling Stuart Gordon's style, teams up with screenwriter Dennis Paoli to loosely adapt Lovecraft's The Thing on the Doorstep. The film opens with the potential for viewers' misjudgment due to its perceived cheapness and broad acting, yet those who persist are rewarded with a crescendo of excellent violence, over-the-top humor, and a genuine cosmic terror.
It felt so real. I was in his body.
Heather Graham stars as Elizabeth Derby here, a psychiatrist entangled in a Lovecraftian mystery. Patient Asa, played by Judah Lewis, introduces her bizarre world where body snatching and occult powers collide. The narrative weaves between psychological thriller, erotic satire, cat and mouse horror, and at times reminiscent of classic horror and 80s throwbacks.
Sorry. Wrong number.
Despite the occasional tonal shifts and inconsistent character portrayals, the film's messy journey does resolve in a climactic and highly memorable conclusion. Suitable Flesh caters to Lovecraft enthusiasts seeking a lighter take on the genre. If you loved From Beyond, if you like Reanimator, this is some silly execution. It's a fun as hell movie. Definitely check it out.
Traveling is all about experiencing new things.
Influencer. All right, so influencer culture is a fairly eye-rolling topic, says the YouTube guy talking to you. But when I went into this film, I sort of thought I probably wouldn't like it. Man, was I wrong. Influencer is a tightly woven thriller/horror movie that masterfully navigates its runtime and expert pacing. The plot, filled with excellent twists and turns, cleverly employs changes in point of view to heighten that suspense, and it does it perfectly.
I made a new friend. Looks like I'll be staying here for a while longer.
While not inherently scary, it is if you put yourself in the position. The film embraces a dark, satirical humor that expertly complements its exploration of social media and then also technology's perils. I rooted and cared for the main character in this film, balancing that tension with awkward yet compelling moments. Influencer emerges as one of the smartest and also best executed films in the recent wave of modern horror films, tackling these societal issues.
So someone else was pretending to be you the whole time? Hello?
Its ability to deliver a gripping narrative while offering insightful commentary on the dark side of technology sets this movie apart, and it's a standout in the genre. Unpredictable and genuinely chilling, Influencer is definitely a must-watch. It's on Shudder right now. Check it out.
What is this, Danny?
I found it.
I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, so I had to put Evil Dead Rise on here. The performances in this movie were fantastic, man. And Evil Dead Rise also gets the award for best opening sequence in a horror movie this year. Sorry, Scream 6, but it does. Breaking away from the Evil Dead traditional roots, Lee Cronin's Evil Dead Rise takes the iconic horror franchise to the bustling streets of inner city LA. Departing from the isolated settings of previous installments, the fifth entry showcases a rare blend of horror sequel and also reboot, breathing new life into the series. Starring Lily Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland as estranged sisters caught in the grips of an ancient Sumerian curse, the film successfully marries the schlocky spirit of the original with fresh, inventive scares.
Open up now.
You don't look so good, Mom.
Although the film's one apartment setting contributes to the sense of scale limitation, these concerns pale in comparison to the overall success of the franchise revival. Evil Dead Rise brilliantly recaptures the brutal magic of the original trilogy. While I loved the reboot of Evil Dead, I somewhat enjoyed the little bit more slapstick return to form in Evil Dead Rise. With Alyssa Sutherland's unhinged performance and a tantalizing ending, the film left me overwhelmingly excited for more gruesome tales to come in this franchise. And also the Bruce Campbell cameo, awesome. Let me know if you know what I'm talking about.
Felicidades. Ya se te estaba pasando el tren. ¿Estás contenta?
Feliz.
Huesera, the Bone Woman. What an exceptional film. The performances in this movie are out of this freaking world, dude. The title, Huesera, translating to Bone Setter, hints at the film's exploration of breaking down and rebuilding. This movie brilliantly dives into the dark side of motherhood, contributing to the expanding library of horror films by women directors exploring the complexities and even hostility tied towards a woman's societal expectations of a fulfillment through motherhood. While not reinventing the subgenres of pregnancy as body horror and haunted house elements, Huesera stands out for its artful craftsmanship, vivid characterizations, and its ability to transform a familiar formula into a personal statement.
Lo que te está pasando es de lo más normal.
I adored the aesthetic and sound design of this film as well. The shots, even establishing scenes and dialogues, all had artful composition and beautiful lighting. The score and sound design contribute to the film's unsettling atmosphere too, creating a juxtaposition with Spanish language punk tracks. As a metalhead myself, I loved that. It created such a unique palette to work with here and worked so well. With themes of anxiety about life choices merging seamlessly with body horror elements, pregnancy's physical changes, and a possession exorcism narrative, the film is an utterly gorgeous and horrific exploration of motherhood and transformation. It's a tough watch, one of the best performances I've seen this year from a lead actress. If you haven't seen it yet, I know sometimes subtitles are hard for some people when you watch a foreign film. Don't skip this one. It's amazing. Another highly recommended horror film, one of the best of the year, and the last one on this list is When Evil Lurks. Director Rugna is one of the more exciting horror directors making horror films right now. Terrified was utterly brilliant and disturbing on so many levels, so when this movie was announced, I was extremely excited. When Evil Lurks is a movie that you feel like you shouldn't be watching. Part possession film and part end of days apocalypse film, Rugna expertly crafts a world filled with relentlessly frightening visuals and absolutely terrifying situations. Nothing is safe in this movie. Pure inhumanity is on display here in expert form, and I just couldn't look away.
Hay un embichado en el pueblo.
Estás asustando a mi familia.
It's also one of the most unhinged, horrific, but beautifully shot films that I've seen in the last few years. When Evil Lurks emerges as a ruthless and sadistic portrayal of evil, delivering one relentless blow after the other. Rugna skillfully crafts a narrative that embodies venomous hostility from the beginning to an ending devoid of respite. This is a new modern classic in horror for people to experience. When Evil Lurks fearlessly gambles and against the odds creates something truly terrifying and very new. This film mercilessly pummels its audience into submission, and I couldn't help but want more from the lore in this horrifying world. This is a director to pay attention to. Like I said, foreign film. If you can get past the subtitle thing, you will not be disappointed. Amazing movie. What are your favorite horror movies from 2023? Leave them down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. I will scare you guys next time.